everyone. I'm Katie Fitzpatrick from Domestically Challenged.
And I'm Samantha Garvey from Home Sweet Dorm.
And welcome to GreyComm's New Year's party.
So today on the show, it's a little bit different. Our two shows are getting together to bring you guys the ways to throw the perfect New Year's Eve party and on a budget. So the first thing that we kind of want to do today is show you guys how to decorate and create a theme for your party, because the theme we kind of discussed is the most important part. You should always pick something that's going to kind of carry throughout the night that you can pull in decorations, food, and your atmosphere too. So as you can see, Katie and I kind of picked a glitzy theme. It's more silvers, golds, blacks, whites, and we kind of went with that for everything. The most important part is to keep the atmosphere kind of together. So you don't really have to go crazy on decorations, you don't have to go crazy on food, but you should try to keep everything to the same kind of theme. So what we said first was always pick up kind of like an invitation or something to send to your guests. This is actually a printable that we found online. It comes 2 to a page, and then you just kind of cut it out. And what we said is you should address your guests by name. You should tell them what to wear, what kind of party it is, what time, where, you know, the normal things. But maybe also throw something fun on there, like what's their favorite song. That way, at the end of the night, you have a whole playlist of songs. Everybody gets to hear what they want to hear, you know, and you don't have that one guy that, you know, is complaining that his song didn't come up or something. So it's a cool way to get people involved right from the start. The second thing that you want to do really is keep the atmosphere going. So like we said, you don't need to go crazy on buying decorations. All the ones that we have here today cost us $40 at Party City. They have a lot of different options, a lot of different themes. And what you want to do is really look for stuff that's going to hang from the ceilings, because that's what's really going to create the effects. We also bought a couple balloons. Another way to save money is don't fill them up with helium. Fill them up with your own air, and then tie them together with some string. Tape them in clusters onto the ceiling, onto the wall, onto your TV. It really creates that, you know, party atmosphere without spending a ton of money. We also decided to pick up some hats and some horns, because, you know, who doesn't like a New Year's party without a horn? Even I laugh now when I do it. It's just fun. A couple of the other things, these are a couple of the examples of streamers that we have. Very easy. They come, you know, conveniently packed, and you just kind of pull apart throughout the night, and they spiral down, as you can see through all of our other ones hanging up.
And these were $9.99 for a pack of 30 of them,
yeah,
which was great.
It was ridiculous. It was a really good deal. So yeah, and then the last thing we want to talk about is entertainment. We talked about, we went to a New Year's party last year, and it's a lot of fun, but it was because the host really focused on entertainment during the night as well. You know, on New Year's, the ball drop is your main event, and that's at midnight. So what are you going to do from 7 till 11:59 p.m., you know? So we suggest trying to figure out something that's going to keep your guests entertained for the rest of the night. Last year at the party Katie and I attended, we had a big wall that we wrote notes to each other on all night, and we drew pictures and all these little things. And then by the end of the night and the next day, we kind of looked back, and they were pretty funny. It was a good time. And we took pictures of those, and we still have them today to save and look back on. You could also set up a photo booth in your basement or wherever you're having the party. A white sheet is really all it takes, and maybe a disposable camera, some props like your hats and your horns. Mustaches are really big now, so maybe having some of those mustaches on a stick, that's a lot to say. Mustaches on a stick. But just have those around, have a throwaway camera or a Polaroid camera, something that, you know, isn't digital, that you can't just look at and delete. Because with the throwaways, like, we got to take pictures on them, and then we got them developed, and it just kind of continues the party on for a few more days because you can't get them developed right away. It's just a fun way. It's a keepsake. It's to keep the memories alive during the night, but it's also a way to keep people entertained too until, you know, the big shebang. So from here, Katie's going to take us over to kind of do some finger foods and cheap foods like that for your party as well.
Yep.
Right?
Let's go.
Awesome.
All right, so one of the most important things to have at a party is food. People love to have food, especially at something like a New Year's party. Now, what we have here for you are meatballs and cupcakes. Now, you don't have to get any full meals, full dinners. Have little finger foods. A lot of times people eat before they come, but you still want to make sure you have something to offer. So the first thing we chose were meatballs cooked in sauce. And now you can make your own recipe. We'll provide one on Sam's
on my blog. You check that out.
Or if you don't have time or you are domestically challenged, you can buy them frozen from the store. Same thing. One trick, if you're making them yourself, is to cook them in the oven halfway and finish cooking them in the sauce. That way, all the flavors get into the meatball and they're not dry. They're great. And I know you have a special trick too.
Yeah, so if you're making your own meatballs, one of the tricks besides all, you know, the normal ingredients that you use. We use 3 different kinds of meat, so pork, veal, and beef. And then my mom likes, and my grandmom, like to soak a roll, like a hoagie roll, or people that don't call them hoagies, like a sub roll, in water. Make sure it's soggy, and then put it. It just kind of makes the meatball a little bit more moist and gives you a little bit more texture. It sounds kind of gross, but trust me, it's delicious.
And these are so easy to make. It's just meat, some type of bread, either soggy bread or breadcrumbs, eggs, all your Italian seasonings, a little Parmesan, salt, pepper, good to go. And then you can either buy a can of sauce or make your own sauce to soak them in. You can also choose to make any kind of dip that you would like to kind of have along with the meatball, if that's something you're looking at doing.
They're great too because you just use a toothpick. You don't need a ton of silverware or utensils and making a mess. It's just easy to eat, pop them in, you're good to go.
Yep. And then the other thing we have are cupcakes for you. Now these are so easy to make, but they look really cool.
Yeah.
It's just chocolate cupcake. You can use chocolate vanilla, icing, and these are especially different. We used white chocolate chips, and Sam, do you want to mention how you did this?
Yeah, we baked them last night, and what you do is you take a bag of white chocolate chips, you pour them into a plastic Ziploc kind of bag, and the trick is really to pour them more towards one of the bottom corners of the bag and tie it off. Put it in the microwave it for about 60 seconds so they get all melted up, cut off the corner, and you just have to paint whatever kind of design or things. We did some fireworks stars. We did 2013. You just paint them onto a paper plate, throw some sprinkles on top. These are edible, like crystal cupcake gems, they're called. We got these from Giant. You just sprinkle them on top, pop them in the freezer, and really within 10 minutes, they are frozen and ready to go.
And another trick you can use for icing the cupcake is the same trick you'll use for making these designs. If you get your can icing or if you make it yourself, put all the icing in a plastic Ziploc bag, same thing. Put it towards a corner, tie it up, and cut off the end, and that way you can really ice it nicely, kind of like you see on one of the cupcake shows or in a bakery.
It looks really fancy.
And then what I did too is that if you're in a rush to make the cupcakes, what you can do once they cool a little bit, maybe 5-10 minutes out of the oven, throw them in the freezer or the fridge for about 10 minutes. Yeah. Once you take them out, the surface will be cool enough to ice. If it's too warm, the icing will melt and it'll slide off and it'll be a mess. So.
And then what we did, we popped the whole finished product into the refrigerator after. Kind of hardens it a little bit. It's nice and cool to serve, and they're delicious.
Yep. And the final thing, we have sparkling cider here because not everyone wants to have champagne, or if you're trying to have a nice party, sparkling cider is a great option. It's less than $4. It's good and
easy to do, and it looks just like champagne. So you can still make like mock mimosas and things in the morning too. It's really fun.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks for joining us today. We really had a good time showing you guys how to make some finger foods and to decorate. So make sure to check out my blog for more decorating tips and for some recipe ideas from Katie.
And have a Happy New Year from GreyComm Studios.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
People say you look lovely. Some say you need a chance in love.